swirly. We got the swirly. Boom. We are live. What's up, wrestling fans? I am Dynamite Doug. This is my brother from another mother. I don't have a really catchy thing for you, Kevin. It's Kevin who keeps me honest. How's it going, Kevin?
Difficult, Doug. Keeping you honest is a full-time job.
That it is, my friend. That it is.
I can't believe how much there is to talk about tonight, Doug. We kind of, for the folks out there, thanks for joining us, the Two Bros Wrestling Show. We kind of have an overstuffed edition tonight. 2 pay-per-views, Doug. We're doing 2 pay-per-view previews in just one show.
Well, you know, we are overstuffing tonight because we're going to be absent from your screens for a while, folks. We got some things going on. There's some travel. There's some movement. I'm finally getting out of the treehouse and hopefully somewhere which has some better internet.
Before we go on a little summer break, though, we're giving it all to this show to make sure you're ready. And our main event topic tonight, Doug, we're talking SummerSlam. We're talking NXT 36. Next weekend, and we're going to give the good folks out there everything they need to know about who's going to win, who's going to lose, and why.
Let's do it. But first, we have some news, right? Yes. Oh, it's like we planned that. Opening bell popped up right when you ring-a-ding-ding-dong.
We have so much opening news, Doug. I'm not sure what you just said, but sure. It's hard to even know. You talk about overstuffed. We can start tonight with the latest on CM Punk, which, of course, is the topic du jour in the world of professional wrestling. We have some very intense COVID-19 news as far as the first signs of what could happen to the rest of the wrestling industry. We've had our first big changes because of COVID after this restart. But I'm going to start, Doug, with the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Woo!
We talked last week in our opening bell segment. Ric Flair was asked, he did request and was granted his release from his Legends contract, which, as it must turn out, apparently the Legends contracts, or at least Flair's, doesn't have a no-compete clause. We now know what the Nature Boy is going to do. Last night, AAA held their Triple Mania pay-per-view, which is their WrestleMania, their biggest event of the year. This event was headlined by the cleaner Kenny Omega defending the AAA World Championship against Andrade El Idolo. I'm getting better at that. And he was escorted down to the ring by his father-in-law, which was really cool. And, you know, this isn't 1989 and it's not like the Omni, but it's Mexico, fans around the world. They respond, don't care the man's in his 70s. The crowd went crazy with woos and everything else. Rick got involved in the finish. There were chops to be had. Conan found himself in the middle of the ring in a figure 4 leg lock. Took a little longer than normal for the Nature Boy to apply that, but he was clearly having a great time with his son-in-law, and it's good to see the Nature Boy back. Obviously, it could be just a one-off. I'm not. No one's thinking that he signed himself to a contract, but it wouldn't be a bit surprising to see Rick make many, many more such appearances throughout the world of professional wrestling. There's a lot of places that would pay big dollars to get the Nature Boy on the outside of the ring for a main event.
So can we do Ric Flair to AEW confirmed? Can we do that yet, or do we need to wait?
I can't imagine that he won't. And why wouldn't you? I mean, AEW obviously is very open to bringing folks in on short-term deals, one-night deals. This is probably what this was with AAA. Money well spent. It broke the wrestling internet for sure. So Ric Flair is already out there and making the most of his free agent status. Just for what it's worth, fantastic match, and Kenny Omega did retain the title in the end of that one. Actually, though, while we're on that topic, let's go ahead and sort of shift into that mode of we got the Kenny Omega, your triple champion here, AEW, of course. The other big news other than Ric Flair and what happened last night at Triple Mania. Again, this could have easily been on any other given week the biggest news, but we continue to talk about CM Punk. I know, Doug, it's hard to believe, but you and I, we made a bit of an error in our broadcast last week, in our last episode. I know I couldn't believe it when I watched it back either, but we got a little ahead of ourselves. We incorrectly stated that the debut of Rampage was going to be in Chicago.
It was Pittsburgh. I'll take that one. Yeah. I should have known. I got a nasty text from Tony afterwards.
Well, there's been so much talk on the Chicago show that I had just had that in my mind as the debut because that's where so much focus was going. But even though there was no debuts of a CM Punk or a Daniel Bryan, it was a very, very good show that they had to kick off the Rampage era of AEW wrestling. The second edition, this upcoming Friday, is the second show. That's going to be the one that's in Chicago. The rumors are still very strong that CM Punk returns because CM Punk right now is very much in the national spotlight because tonight on Stars, Heels, the wrestling family drama that CM Punk has a small role in, he's making the media rounds promoting that. And obviously he's asked very directly, so are you showing up? And he has actually been pretty good about just outright denying it, but it's Punk, so he doesn't just deny it. He does so in such a cheeky fashion that even when he says no, you ask yourself, but he really means yes, right? Tony Khan was in a very similar interview situation where Sports Illustrated was talking to him after Rampage about the night and was asked directly about Punk, and he did not go so far as to give any sort of denial. And in fact, his answer was cheeky enough that you would think that, yeah, there's definitely something to this. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of disappointed people if Punk is not on Friday night's show.
This in particular is something I texted you because I think you were out of area on a little vacation yourself a few weeks ago and had missed the live broadcast of Dynamite. And I was saying, if they are not bringing in Punk, they are definitely setting the stage to disappoint quite a few people. With Darby Allin's Best in the World promo, MJF, paraphrasing the pipe bomb promo, and just a lot of other drops throughout the night. And they've continued to do that. And even Punk's most recent denial that, he has a Heels screening in a theater of episode 3 next Friday night. So he's going to be doing that instead of being somewhere else. But I find it interesting that, we did have our first Rampage in Pittsburgh, not Chicago. Yep. We had that this Friday, but it was almost like what's one of the restaurants and stores call that, like their cold open, because it was the debut of Rampage, where there's some news coming out of that. But
yes,
that debut of Rampage doesn't have a title, unlike the one in Chicago this Friday, which is the first dance.
The first dance. So if it's not the first dance of Rampage, the show, what is it the first dance of? Obviously, Punk has had to get back into ring shape for the TV series, so he's got very much plausible deniability there as far as people, seeing him working out or, wrestling in rings and such. So it will be a bigger shock and disappointment should he not show up than if he does. So let's all tune in Friday night, and hopefully, even though we know what's coming, we still take in that moment for how cool it's going to be when the roof blows off that place, because it will. Because, just speaking of that debut episode of Rampage, that is news in and of itself, is that there's a new show on the wrestling landscape. Didn't contain a big debut like a Punk or Daniel Bryan, but it did contain a world title change, and just not the AEW world title. Rampage began with a preview of the upcoming pay-per-view match between Kenny Omega and Christian Cage, except instead of being for the AEW world title, it was for Omega's Impact World Championship, which Cage won in a really good match. And I do want to just give kudos to AEW, not just for producing a really exciting hour of wrestling that hopefully they can keep that momentum going with their new show and not treat it as a secondary product, but I have been very critical of how they have treated Impact during their relationship this year. So I also want to give credit when I also think it's due, because this week AEW had Scott D'Amore, who is an official with Impact Wrestling, on the air multiple times on the desk, on the announce desk. They had the Impact Tag Team Championships, the champions, the Good Brothers, defending those belts on Dynamite on Wednesday night. And then they opened up the Rampage era with a Impact World Title match. It was the most parity, I think, that there has been yet in this relationship, where they didn't just use Impact's guys, but used their titles, the prestige of those titles, and promoted it all as such. That, like, this is what I've been waiting for. This was beautiful. And
I'm really wondering, were they saving this for Rampage to expand, not necessarily expand the roster in like a WWE sense, but expand the product overall and expand those forbidden doors that have been just kicked open in modern wrestling?
And it could be. And as far as those doors go too, I'm giving all kinds of credit to AEW here for doing what I've been getting onto them for not doing. But Impact's been doing it from the beginning, and even more so this week. I want to give them credit as well. If there really is a forbidden door, then it's Impact Wrestling that is the doorkeeper, as they are sort of the nexus of the wrestling world. This would have been unimaginable just a couple of years ago, but I'll tune into Impact this week, Doug. Within the first 30 minutes of this past week's Impact Wrestling show beginning, Impact had promoted or advertised AAA's Triple Mania pay-per-view, the first edition of Rampage, NWA Empowers all women's pay-per-view, the NWA 73 pay-per-view anniversary special, and New Japan Pro Wrestling's Resurgence, which is New Japan's return to America with a show that they're doing in Los Angeles on pay-per-view. And that was in 30 minutes, all these promotions. It was an amazing look at what a true level united landscape, where everyone who's not WWE working together equally, treating each other as like all these events as important. I was just amazed. I'm like, now wait a minute, which show are they? Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, it was fantastic. It was really fantastic. And so kudos to all involved. As soon as Kenny started collecting belts, this is kind of what we hope to see, is more of this. And right now, I think it's really hitting its stride, and they're telling some great stories. Having Cage win the one belt with the other still on the line, and a month later is just smart booking all the way around for everybody.
Absolutely. Raising
all boats, that tide does. Again, another story, Doug, that could easily have been the top story on any other given week, but it is as we recently reported, changes are in store at NXT. The talent cuts are just the start of this playing out. Now comes word in the most recent edition of the Wrestling Observer that internally Triple H is taking heat for NXT's supposed failures. And when I say supposed, it's because really there isn't really a way to quantify what this report means by Triple H taking heat for failures, because NXT ratings have still been good. Critically speaking, most WWE fans that also watch NXT agree that it is the high watermark of the WWE product. There's so much good about what Triple H has done with that developmental system. But if we're just simply talking about the fact that AEW outscored them when it came to the ratings war on Wednesday nights, I just have to call BS on that. Yes, are we competition? Sure, everyone's competition if you're out there doing a wrestling product, but this wasn't the Monday Night Wars. This is not Raw versus Nitro. It is at best WWE's third product, their developmental / third brand against what is the flagship for AEW. And the shiny new thing. It's nothing against anybody else. It's just that it's not exactly apples to apples. So if just the fact that AEW outscored, NXT head to head, if this means that suddenly Triple H has less stroke backstage, or that there's hesitancy from the old man of him one day taking over everything, that maybe his creative direction isn't the way we need to go. We need bigger guys. And, that is a loss to all of the wrestling industry. So let's hope that these stories are just that, because with these newsletters, we also have to understand that whoever's doing the leaking might be doing so for a very particular reason, their own selves. This could be playing politics on someone or a bunch of someones who don't feel they have a place in a future WWE headed up by Triple H, trying to undercut him early on in the process, because it is a cutthroat business.
And that is something I've read on some of the dirt sheets and some of the other YouTube shows that I watch, that, there are a lot of people in positions of power right now that don't exactly align with, a NXT Triple H vision, and people who are fearful for their positions once, those reins are handed over to the heir apparent, and are trying to manipulate that. So it's man, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's drama, in front and behind the cameras going on. So we're going to have to see how this one plays out, because it's pretty interesting.
Well, speaking about how things play out, again, another easy to be a top story on any given week, because we did an entire episode recently on the mysterious last year for Keith Lee. And we now have, for the first time, from the man himself, a little insight as to exactly what it was that was going on with him for that bit, at least for a little bit of the time that he was off camera and disappeared. But in a very heartfelt video post, Lee, who's an incredibly likable and just eloquent man, just really laid out a heart-wrenching case for what happened in his life. He did test positive for COVID back in January, which was speculated at the time because, it was known that his girlfriend, are they fiance or
I think fiance, Mia Yim. Yes.
Yeah, Mia Yim. It was known that she had, contracted COVID, and there was even some folks that had blamed her apparently for him contracting COVID. So he set the record completely straight that he had actually contracted it first and had passed it along to her because she refused to, leave him alone, and instead chose to take care of him, and then ended up becoming sick herself. But that was not the worst of his ordeal. Apparently in post-testing after his COVID scare, as he was trying to, bulk back up and return to the ring, it was detected that he had a heart-related issue that could have been very well related to his COVID battle, and he even called it a battle for his life. That it was that serious and touch and go there for a while we all wondered where he was or why WWE wasn't using him or why Vince McMahon had soured on him. In fact, the man was worried about just being here today. And, he was eventually cleared to start working out again. And he just wants everyone to know that he is better. He appreciates everyone for being concerned. It did express his gratitude, but it was definitely a sore spot with him that so many had blamed Mia Yim for giving him COVID when actually the opposite was true. But just fortunately for all of us that we still have Keith Lee around and on our TV screens. So he did not owe anyone an explanation. Your personal health information is yours, and he chose to address this when, there's so many idiots out there doing entire shows. This is what happened to him and things like that. Not letting the man poor man be. But all the best to Keith. And
absolutely. Absolutely. We love you, brother. We love you, Keith.
That's right. That's why you are forever our profile picture until we get back to a wrestling show together and get somebody else in with us. All out for Max Caster's ill-conceived rap continues, as he apparently has been suspended by AEW. The Acclaimed were pulled from this week's edition of Dark. It was previously announced that the Acclaimed were going to be on that episode. Then it was retweeted back out, and the match listing had them nowhere near it. So apparently the suspension is 2 months without pay, and that Caster must attend and pass sensitivity training before being allowed to return. I'm completely supportive of that, considering what Ollie said. It is, I'm sure, part of his defense, though, that you want me to go out there and be edgy in these reps, and then when I do, this is what I get. But this is all the more reason why, if one man and no one man can. It's like trying to say that Vince needs to be on top of everything. He tries to do it, he can't. Tony's going to need some lieutenants that, keep him from having to go, all the way, through, every show, be the one to do all the editing. That's too much for one person. But anyway, Caster is getting his punishment. Doug, we're not ready for the big finish yet.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
Okay.
There we are.
Sorry. I got a thing. I got a thing for work there. Sorry. Okay.
We're giddy because we're getting ready to have a summer break, right?
Yeah, well, I'm trying, but work won't leave me alone. So
September's Ring of Honor pay-per-view, Death Before Dishonor, is being relocated. Again, this would be top news on any given week that didn't have so much going on, but this is exactly what we've been talking about, folks, is that just because you have the ticket doesn't mean the show is going to happen or happen in the way you think it's going to. This is the first domino that is likely to fall over the fall these next few months, as this is going to get worse. But originally, Death Before Dishonor was supposed to be in Lakeland, Florida, but because of the incredible surge of COVID cases in Florida, it is being moved to the ECW arena in Philadelphia. That show is just taking place this week. That's how quickly these things can come up. So as far as your cancellations and things go. Ember Moon was pulled from her match against Saraya on NXT this week. The announcers claimed she was not medically cleared to wrestle. That evening, Moon took to Twitter to say that she was angry and disappointed by this latest setback. As we all know, she's had quite a few. She did not provide additional details, nor did WWE, on why she was unable to compete. However, after that sort of "I'm so angry" kind of tweets caused a lot of speculation, she retook the Twitter to say that nothing is serious and she will be back soon. And reports are that that is the case, that whatever is wrong with her, still, they're not discussing it. Whatever's wrong with her is not something that's going to be a career setback in the way that her previous injuries, because she has a very deep and troublesome injury history. So to hear that she was pulled medically, it does give people concern because there was a time Ember thought her career was over. So apparently this is minor. Get well soon, whatever's going on, Ember, and get back on our TVs. TV screens are, fun to watch. WWE has released the trademark that they had on the name Chelsea Green.
This is absurd to me. Completely absurd.
She is now free to use her real name when she's performing. This isn't Dynamite Doug here trying to work a gimmick, get something going. It'd be like if they actually owned the name Doug Hager and you couldn't use your own name anymore.
So I think it's bizarre on her part that she actually signed over her birth name to begin with, though. I don't know if there was an argument there on her side that, hey, I've worked this on the indies. This is the name I've built up. I want to keep it. And they said, okay, but we're going to trademark it. Or if they demanded to trademark that name because of the investment she already had in it. I don't know how that happened, but I still think it's very, very bizarre that she, signed it over, and they're like, yes, we will take your name. But at least they gave it back.
Well, she's not the only talent to actually go by their real name. And in those instances before, when someone who uses their real name comes in, it has usually been that WWE will give them a new name and then trademark that. But in the instances that they have gone with the real name, they have tried to trademark the person's real name and hold it in WWE. So yes, folks, if you get signed to a WWE contract, go by an assumed name so that you can at least have rights to your birth name once they wish you well on your future endeavors.
So I'm curious if that is correct. If that's a thing.
John Cena owns his name.
And not beyond that, the WWE owns the name, and WWE actually gets a cut of his movie money.
Well, I mean, it would be like licensing a superhero character to another franchise, and that's the way that Spider-Man's found his way back into the Marvel films. So it's like that. I mean, you see the intellectual, you see the intellectual property point of it all, but when you're talking people's real names, yeah, it's odd. Yeah. We have a premiere date for AEW's first reality series. We've known about the Roads to the Top show for a while now. The reality series that's going to follow Brandy and Cody Rhodes. This week on Dynamite, there was a commercial that aired that revealed the show is going to begin airing on TNT on September the 29th. And then the final bit of news in this overstuffed edition of the news this week is we're going to have a baby wrestling. Baby wrestling. Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae announced this week that they are having their first child. And apparently this was something they didn't even know would ever be in the cards for them. So very much congratulations to all involved. I've had the pleasure of meeting.
Congratulations to all involved.
The two of them. Oh, the three of them soon to be. You got Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling. It's going to be amazing wrestling.
Congratulations to all involved. I love it.
I had a pleasure of meeting Johnny Gargano once, and he could not have been any cooler. Like the guy that you see on the screen was the guy that I met. And Candace seems just as real as he does, and they're huge geeks and huge wrestling geeks. And she said that she's going to stay on the air for as long as she possibly can, but obviously the physicality is going to have to she's been doing this since she was 19. And so again, congratulations to the Garganos. This is going to be one heck of an athletic kid. So Doug, with that,
are we ready for the main event?
We are ready for the main event.
All right, I've moved my iPhone far, far away from the mouse, so if I get any more text related to anything other than wrestling, I won't fire off multiple banners again.
I had to turn mine down. My phone was going nuts. Doug, I think we should start this since we're doing 2 pay-per-views next weekend. We should do them in the order they come in because unusual. This time around, WWE is doing the Saturday night show. NXT has Sunday night. So SummerSlam is first. That's Saturday.
Which means I have to pull up different notes. So hold on. I was ready for NXT.
Don't worry, I got this.
I know you do, and my notes are really just me going to Wikipedia and looking at the match roster. So, okay, I'm good now.
We got Drew McIntyre, Doug, a man who has been around the main event scene since pre-pandemic, and it very well may be an opening match on this card because Drew is in a singles match with his former 3-man band bandmate, I guess as it were, Jinder Mahal. I understand that you can't stay at the main event level all the time, but there's got to be you got to feel a little bit for Drew with this booking, and that's no offense to Jinder. It's just kind of a large gap between this and the main event.
You know what I want to see here is a last, like an 11th hour run in by a super jacked Heath Slater that returns to WWE to help, either one of his 3-man bandmates out to get over on the other one. I mean, since Jinder has some lackeys, I would love to see a super jacked Heath Slater show up to help out Drew McIntyre and continue the feud from there. Don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm calling it that's the way the match goes down for me at SummerSlam.
Dude, you're actually not alone. I thought the same thing. I'm like, if you're going with a 3-man band storyline, which, I mean, there's a history there. So if this is the feud you're going to go with, it does make sense to use the real life friendship. I have no problems with it. I actually have no problems with the match. It's just, it is, definitely a place warmer for Drew McIntyre, which is why my prediction is Drew McIntyre goes over. The real intrigue in this one should not be less as to whether or not Jinder Mahal wins. It's to whether or not Heath Slater shows up because, Jinder's going to have Veer and Shanky there helping him. So I think he will. I actually think it's going to happen. And the crowd will pop for it because Drew does not take himself seriously, and the fans see that realism in Drew that, yes, I've gone from the very bottom to the top. So he will not care to get out there and do some air guitar at the end of this match.
True. So true. I want to see it. That's what I want to see.
If you're going to go this way, let's just go all the way with it, and let's get a mini 3-man band reunion back in there. Doug, from here, what do you say? Let's go Sheamus defending the U.S. Championship in a singles match against Damian Priest.
So, man, Sheamus is great in everything he does. And I really liked Priest back when he was Punishment Martinez, and even Damian Priest in NXT. I think he's been wasted since coming up to the main roster, but I think that really goes for anybody who comes from this place and goes up to the main roster. They just don't get the love that they should unless they came back up way back in the day when it was still Ohio Valley Wrestling, maybe, or not Ohio Valley Wrestling, but the Florida Championship Wrestling. Having said that, I think Sheamus will retain, though, and continue on.
I'm going Priest here. I think that I agree that I liked the NXT version of Priest better. He became a sort of a second. If the WrestleMania contest with Bad Bunny was meant to elevate Damian Priest, it did a lot to elevate Bad Bunny and open up our eyes to wow, okay, that was better than anyone expected. It didn't do a whole lot for Priest afterwards. I still think, though, the fact they put him in that position to begin with, brought him up from NXT really just for that role and kept him on the main roster. I think they're high on Priest. I think that they're see things for him. Sheamus is always going to be Sheamus, whether he has the belt or not, so I don't think he'll lose anything from this. I think that Priest wins the belt here, and I think that it has a offside chance at being one of the better matches of the night, very stealthily, because Sheamus is almost one of those that people forget about how good he can be when he wants to be, and Priest is a big man that can really. I think they're going to beat the crap out of each other. Is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a physical match, and I think our third man in the announce booth here, David Poole, is going with Priest as well. So I am outnumbered and outgunned on this one. So we'll see where it goes.
We'll see where that one goes, and where we're going to go, Doug. Let's go to the tag team title match that we know about for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. You got the Usos defending those championships against the Mysterios. So you got the twins against the father and son, all family combination here. Going to be a great match. And I like these two teams feuding against each other. If it is the familial bonds or whatever, there's just so much to play off of storyline-wise with this, as well as athletic-wise with these four guys. I think this is going to be a heck of a contest.
I agree. This will definitely be a great, great show. And I say this way too much, but, regardless of outcome here, we're all going to be winners with this one. But, I mean, WWE is stacked with an amazing roster of talented individuals. And on any given night, anybody can really steal the show. With this one, though, I'm wondering if it's time for Ray to, step back and let Dominic maybe do a turn and break off and go on his own. I'm saying that the Usos will retain. I'm not sure if Dominic does break off yet, but I think it's coming soon, man.
I think that the Usos retain. I think that we're still a little soon in their reign, and they're being the brothers reuniting. I think there's more storyline there, especially as they stay lackeys to Roman Reigns. So let's move on then. So we're kind of in agreement. Everyone here is unanimous that is not quite ready for the Mysterios to win those belts back. Let's go to the second women's match. Why don't we? And I say second. I know that they're both equal championships, but we know which one is going to be, in our minds, the main event. So we got kind of a surprise champion. The storyline of this match being that Nikki Cross, I cannot do with the Nikki ASH. That just doesn't flow naturally for me. But she has been a surprising champion. This storyline since pre-Mania, has been Charlotte Flair versus Rio Ripley, and will they get their one-on-one back and forths? And when they finally had the one-on-one, Charlotte took it, and so Rhea's never really got her shot on that. So I think she's kind of in this triple threat scenario is still going to be the person lost in the shuffle. I think that she still needs a signature win over Charlotte Flair, just in a one-on-one contest. But I think because of that, my prediction is that they're going to stick with Nikki on this one, and Rhea and or Charlotte will cost each other the belt. And the underdog, because they seem to really be playing up her underdog status, and the fans are really buying into it, I think they ride that out.
I have to agree with all that. I'm a big Nikki Cross fan. I'm not a fan of this character. I see this as like a footnote championship for her. But maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe she gets a push and they strap rockets on her and she goes to the moon. And it seems like maybe they're going that way with this character, and I don't know why. But again, not a fan of the character. Definitely a fan of Nikki Cross. But it's going to happen like that. Charlotte and Rhea are going to just beat the hell out of each other, and they're going to end up costing. One will cost the other one the match. And we're going to have, Nikki come out on top.
Eventually, we have to have that Charlotte Rhea one-on-one where Rhea actually is the one who has her hand raised at the end, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go to I called that the second women's match because I know which of the women's championships I deem more important because of the contest itself. I'm going to do the same for the men's contest. And let's go to the secondary men's championship, and that's going to be the singles match for the WWE Championship, where you got the champion Bobby Lashley against.
Why?
So, folks, for all of you, again, relating back to our news from the top of the hour about all the world is ready for CM Punk showing up on AEW on Friday, just before we all get so overly excited about what is obvious going to happen thanks to the rumor mill, let's look no further than the case of Brock Lesnar is the one they're saving Bobby Lashley for, and that's why Bobby Lashley kept going over at Mania and every other step of the way to look like a beast when the beast returns, and instead of Lesnar, like everyone had been rumored to believe was actually going to happen, we get Goldberg. And I know there may be some Goldberg fans watching, and that's fine. I'm not a Goldberg fan. I have nothing against Goldberg.
Agreed.
Back in the day, as a legacy act, it was fun when he came back because, oh, wow, look, there's Goldberg. And he's still he still looked pretty jacked. And but by now, they've gone back to the Goldberg well so many times that to me it doesn't seem novel. He wasn't a good worker back in his prime, much less now. So there's not much for me, either character-wise, surprise-wise, or certainly wrestling-wise, to get excited about this contest.
Although, speaking about getting excited about it, if you do like Dave Poole here is talking about with his hot take, Lashley squashing Goldberg in no time flat, but right here. Goldberg barely gets in any offense, and then we hear Lesnar's music hit after the end of that.
Well, that's what they did with his last challenger. I mean, Kofi. I mean, as good as Kofi is, and Kofi can actually wrestle a match, whereas Goldberg can't. Goldberg obviously is never going to wrestle. In his prime, he didn't wrestle more than 10 minutes. If he did, it was a disaster. 5 minutes was really safer. And nowadays, at his age, certainly safer. The approach that Dave mentions is exactly the way they used Goldberg when they let Lesnar finally get his victory over him. I mean, they didn't keep him out there long. It just exposes everybody. Certainly, there's no point in doing that. I'm not excited about the match, but there's got to be Bobby Lashley. It's got to be. There's no way.
I agree. It's got to be. A spear, a jackhammer, and it's not over. Lashley, Lashley's not going to take a pin here. Goldberg will show up, get his spear in, get his jackhammer in. Goldberg will kick out. Lashley will dominate, and I would love to see Lashley dominate, crush him. And, that really does more for the product than anything. Putting a legend like Goldberg, who with his whole who's next legacy, actually getting squashed by Lashley really even builds bigger to maybe Royal Rumble or even WrestleMania next year.
Who was it that Goldberg returned against that last time? I'm trying to. Was it Drew? He came back for. I think it was Drew.
Didn't he originally beat the Fiend in Saudi Arabia or something ridiculous like that?
Yeah, I'm talking about this most recent time. Because whatever it was this most recent time, it was a similar scenario where Goldberg came out, did not do very much, kind of got semi-squashed, and then spent the post-match passing that torch. And I think it was Drew congratulating him, raising his hand.
Yeah.
If something like that happens, similar here, even though Lashley's the heel, Goldberg showing that, yes, even like you said, the almighty Goldberg gets destroyed in 3 or 4 minutes. Keep this one short for everyone's sake, but that's the way I'd book it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how WWE books it.
Well, these next two are going to be interesting to see how WWE books it. Not only are these, in my mind, the two main events, the two matches with the most intrigue as to which way they go. No, I'm getting ahead of myself. I almost forgot.
Oh, Seth Rollins and Edge. Yes.
Seth Rollins and Edge, who this is not the Sheamus Damian Priest thing where I said it could be a sleeper, one of the best matches of the night. I think this is the match that most people think will be the one that steals the show, even though it's not titles on the line. Just the fact that these two men are such great storytellers in the ring, despite their age differences, and Edge has already shown that he, still has that talent when he comes back to these big kind of contests. But this is the match that I think will be the match of SummerSlam as far as just work rate goes.
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about Seth freaking Rollins here.
Yeah, and Edge, and Seth has done an amazing job with the, his suit work is just on point. Just impeccable. And I mean,
it makes me want to dress better. I mean,
the Edge doing the whole like you're just the bootleg version of me. Everything you did, I did first, and then obviously getting under Seth's skin. Seth comes back this past week with a package that he had put together, a video package put together to show point by point, disproving everything Edge said, going back to the archives, deep into the archives, to show that why everything that, yes, I did a lot of things after you did, but this is why my version of things was better. Was just brilliant storytelling. They're having fun with this. Both men are having a lot of fun working with one another. It's kind of obvious. I think they take all that energy into a show stealer. I'm going to say, though, that Seth Rollins wins this one.
See, I'm thinking not that Edge needs a win, but it's time for Edge to get a win.
That's true. He does tend to lose since other than the Royal Rumble itself, he's lost most of his big singles contest.
I don't think he needs the win, but I don't think Rollins loses anything in taking a loss here. But and again, not that Edge needs a win, but it really is time for Edge to win something.
So we're going to diverge on this one.
Sure, let's do it.
That's good. Disagreement is good.
Oh. Here we go. Yeah.
Match of the night.
Yeah, there we go. But Edge needs it more. Yeah, I think he does. Not necessarily needs it more, but I mean, it's time for the man to get a W. I mean, come on.
So now I'm the one that's outnumbered on this one. Whenever we agree, it's one thing, but when we disagree, David Poole seems to be the one that tilts the tide.
Yeah, there he is. With Doug.
With Doug. Yeah, put that on a T-shirt.
I'm with Doug. Getting Poole's face on it. I'm with Doug.
Doug. All right, let's see who you're with on this one, because we got let's go Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. I don't know who they close with. I think they probably close with a returning John Cena against a Roman Reigns. So, but you could easily make the argument that these two women, if it isn't Edge and Rollins that have the match of the night, these two women will be the ones having the match of the night as far as work rate goes. They stole the show at WrestleMania. That one was on last. It was history making because of that. I don't know that they necessarily do that at SummerSlam, but they could. They very well could if they don't think that that Cena, Reigns can go quite as long as they maybe would like it to. But I think that this one goes a little differently than the one at WrestleMania. I know Sasha Banks just returned, but if I was booking this, when you got a hot heel that comes back and gets the reaction that she did, a star like Sasha Banks, you do kind of like they've been doing with Charlotte. You insert her right back into the main event, let her show the upstart that you got me once, I get you this time, and then we all go and have a very good night watching these two women, knowing that we're going to get a third version to see, take our money again. We want to see who really is the best.
See, I'm going to take a hybrid approach here because I agree with you because I never bet against the boss. I always bank on the boss.
Especially when she's the challenger.
But I think, Bianca doesn't retain like Poole's saying here. I think boss wins and Lynch returns. And then we get a similar three-way situation where we have Lynch.
So get a new T-shirt, Poole. I'm sort of with Doug. On Doug. Yeah. I think that obviously it's been a big question, knowing that Becky is ready and teasing online that she's ready. Obviously, a high stakes match like this, a platform like a SummerSlam. If you're not coming back at a Royal Rumble or WrestleMania, you come back at a SummerSlam. Makes perfect sense to me. I have no problem with that booking at all. I guess it will be, who they let walk out with the belt. And let's say this. If this goes on last, it could also be pretty telling. If this goes on early in the night, it might be telling that they might not have either of these ladies actually have a clean win. This could be one of those cards where you have so many possible main events and stacked matches that you could get away with a bit of a false finish here and make the news coming out of Becky's return and a triple threat or something down the road.
That is very true. It could definitely go that way.
And now what may very well be the main event, a very surprising main event, but your tribal chief, Roman Reigns. The storyline here, I mean, we don't have to really recap it. This one writes itself. You got, one of the biggest names in the history of wrestling, certainly the biggest star of a good 10, 15-year period of his generation, John Cena, making his return and having a lot of fun, obviously. Friday night, the man was having fun. Him and Roman Reigns had an excellent back and forth verbal contest.
The tribal chief was having a bit of fun, too, it seemed.
Oh, they were hitting each other hard. I mean, and Roman, it was all he could do to not smile when John Cena went there with the whole, Dean Ambrose line. And I even like the whole, I might leave and blow you a kiss. Just I'm not ever been the biggest Cena fan, but when inspired, he can get way beyond the potty humor and things that they sometimes would just script him to say. And he was definitely having fun being back in a wrestling ring and doing some, back and forth, non-scripted or only semi-scripted stuff.
Agreed.
Bars are so critique. That's a great line. I mean, he was hitting him hard. I loved every bit of it. I think Doug, you and I spoke when Cena returned at the end. Who would have ever thought that you and I in 2021 would be excited about Roman Reigns versus John Cena, two of my least favorite wrestlers of the last few years, who – Roman's one of my absolute favorites now, and Cena is underrated as far as his work goes. I think this is actually a good match. I don't think this is just a good story. I think it's a good match.
I think it's a good match. I think Cena will deliver. I think Cena can definitely deliver. God, I can't imagine me 2 years ago saying I'm looking forward to seeing a John Cena Roman Reigns match, but the Tribal Chief consistently delivers, showing that when you give the guy good material to work with, he will run with it. Don't just give him crap. And I think the same thing for Cena. Yeah. You give Cena good material to work with, and he will work it. Because Cena, also excellent in the Suicide Squad.
Excellent. And I think this is a match that will be enhanced even further by the crowd.
Yep. And let me just get this out of the way. I'm with David.
I am actually I'm taking a different approach. I actually believe that they might use this as an opportunity to swerve folks in the same way that, like, when Goldberg won the belt back in the day, like the guy you think is coming in, or when Rock came back and he actually won the belt instead of I'm back, I'm at the Hollywood set again the next day. I think because Cena is sticking around and going beyond this, I think they try to surprise the wrestling world and let Cena actually walk away with this one.
I would love that. I don't think it's going to happen, though.
I'm hopeful because I'm very much considering getting an Extreme Rules ticket since it's just up in Columbus, and that could be the return match. I would be super excited if that happens. I'm going to just take the dissenting opinion here and think they try to shock the wrestling world by going the way that we don't think. But
gotcha. So, and I'm also with David on this one.
Oh, yeah. I think eventually that's where that has to go. But then we've been saying that since pre-WrestleMania. That was a WrestleMania rumor, then a SummerSlam rumor. No one's getting any younger, and obviously you can't keep a belt on someone forever. So, I'd love to see it happen, maybe next year's Mania, but we got a ways to go before we get to there. And speaking of ways to go, we got a hold of the pay-per-view, and this is normally when we hit the closing bell. But fortunately, it's NXT, Doug, so we only have 5 matches to fill a pay-per-view, so we can go through this one much quicker.
All right, hold on. Let me close the tab and jump to my NXT tab. Okay, I'm ready.
I don't know where you want to start. I think maybe a good place to start might be let's go Raquel Gonzalez defending the Women's Championship. Dakota Kai, here's the story with this one. Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, obviously were a tandem. Gonzalez coming up was sort of the understudy of Kai. It's the tried and true storyline that always works in wrestling. It worked here. Both women played at perfection. Jealousy. Dakota Kai, like, you've become too big for your britches. You forgot where you come from. I'm next. You said you beat everybody, but you didn't beat me. I taught you everything you know, not everything I know. All that stuff. All that said, Gonzalez is a star, very much a star in the making, and Dakota Kai is a good soldier, and she goes down here.
I agree. Raquel goes over. I mean,
Hell goes over. Yeah, I wouldn't book that one any other way. As much as I like Kai, she doesn't need the belt. Gonzalez doesn't need the belt either, but she's going on to
wait a minute. We have dissension.
So David's with no one on this one.
He's a man on an island to himself. We'll see. But yeah, I'm with you, Kevin.
Thanks, Doug. LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes.
I love it.
Championship in the most entertaining thing going on NXT right now. These two are absolutely fantastic together. Throw in the $1 Million Man for us old marks. Make it for the $1 Million belt. Cameron Grimes is just hilarious. And the way that he has gone about his duties as a butler, so happily, like, I'm a man of my word, I'm going to do it the best I can, and it still ends up getting under LA Knight's skin. Has been comedy gold, and wrestling comedy is not easy. Typically, they do not do it well. I'm entertained by this. I think, though, that LA Knight has done well being the bully. I think with Ted DiBiase's mentorship, though, it's time for Cameron Grimes to get his comeuppance.
I agree. And Poole says, oh, whoa, Jaron Knight. Hello, Jaron Knight. How are you, brother? Welcome to the show. I'm going to go with Kevin, though, with LA Knight taking the loss here.
I think it'll be a heck of a contest, though, and you could definitely book it either way. But if you book it to LA Knight, I think then this has to continue, because I think eventually,
here we go. Poole with us on this one.
I think eventually Grimes has got to, get over, because he's been the one taking all the big losses with this one. And Ted being interested in his career and turning him into the hillbilly version of the hillbilly $1 Million Man is just hilarious.
I love it. Love it.
We got a lot of history in this next one. We got Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole in a 2 out of 3 falls match. The first match is just a straight-up wrestling match. The second match is a street fight. And if necessary, in a stipulation picked by the general manager himself, you're going to settle it in a steel cage match. Doug, Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole have been together since the Indies, through Ring of Honor, and now obviously through the Undisputed Era and all that's going on since on NXT. There's been rumors forever about Adam Cole moving on to the main roster. I don't know if he ever will or even has an interest to. But I do think that Adam Cole is considered more the main eventer, and that Kyle O'Reilly needs this one more. I think obviously when you do the 3 fall stipulation, there's a way to give both men some shine and give them, a 1, 2, 3. Obviously, you got to go to a third and deciding fall. No one's winning in 2 falls. This is going to be an epic contest. Match, could possibly be the match of the night. But I think that O'Reilly is going to win this one.
So, got to take in some, insider information here with, Adam Cole having his contract, up in the air right now. And, I think it really depends on where and how Cole wants to go out, if he's going out. But I can see Cole losing the belt here, even though I think, let's see, what are the folks saying here? Mr. Black is saying all the way with Adam Cole, baby.
Well, yeah, gotta be.
And David Poole, O'Reilly wins. Man, I'm just not sure about this. I think I'm going to split it down the middle and go with Adam Cole. I'm going to go with Cole.
So we got 2 bros on the opposite sides. We got a 2 for 2. This is one that could go either way. I do think it could be one of those situations like in the dying days of WCW. Not that NXT's dying, but I mean, when you give Chris Benoit the belt in hopes that he sticks around and he still goes to WWE anyway, it could be very telling with Adam Cole's contract situation as to how they want to appease him, and if they try to do so in this match with the way that they book it. That leaves 2 contests to talk about, and I left one intentionally that probably will be on earlier, because I do think it very well may be the match of the night, because to me it was one of the matches of the entire year. A lot of folks don't tune in to NXT UK. It's a big loss if you don't get a chance to, because there's some incredible talents on there. None more obvious than this rematch from earlier in the year in what I think was maybe the hardest hitting contest of the last few years from NXT UK. They decided to give it a bigger platform, and instead of doing it on an NXT UK show or pay-per-view, to have it on an NXT TakeOver. But Walter, who has been the NXT UK champion for 2 years, something along those lines, I mean, something real impressive, will take on Ilya Dragunov. challenging for that belt. Last time Dragunov and Walter wrestled 30, 40 minutes, almost a full episode's worth. And, at the end, Dragunov's chest looked like ground beef. I mean, he was red as a beet. They beat the crap out of each other. I expect that with a crowd and a big platform, they're going to do that again. Walter, though, is still the guy. I got to say that even though it's 2 years and you think it's time, I still think he has to win this one.
Agreed. Just like I will not bet against the boss, I will not bet against Walter. and I think we have a unanimous decision here. Jaron Black, Walter is the best, so I'm assuming Mr. Black is going with Walter and Poole. Poole.
Pool's alone on that island.
Look at that.
I actually didn't care as much for Dragunov early on, but I actually, after that match with Walter, is when I looked at him in a different light. Anyone that would allow another person to, do that to his body, he sacrificed himself for that contest, and I've actually more enjoyed him ever since. I don't know that I see him as champion, at least not right now, unless they have other plans for Walter, but I'm still going Walter with this one.
Yeah.
Which leads us to the main event and the last match that we're previewing. Catch our breath in this overstuffed edition of the Two Girls Wrestling Show. But this one is another interesting booking in the which way you go. You have Karrion Kross, your champion, who has been champ for a while now, NXT champ, who's also appearing on Raw quite regularly, taking on a returning Samoa Joe, who has not been in the ring, that we've seen on television anyways for, what is this, his first match in 9 months, 10 months, maybe more than that. So this storyline is Samoa Joe comes back after being let go and is taken on by William Regal as a enforcer type. And Karrion Kross is a man, you're Stone Cold, if you will, who will not be bound by the rules, and you can't tell me what to do. Of course, obviously, natural friction here. I think Samoa Joe still has a lot in the tank. Even though we haven't seen him in the ring, I can't imagine that he doesn't give his all in this performance and overperforms for someone who's been out as long. I don't expect ring rust. Karrion Kross is always good at what he does character-wise. I think this is one, though, where even though it makes sense to think that Kross retains, I think there's a very good possibility Kross is a permanent Raw guy and not just dalliance that he has going on there, and therefore putting the belt on a Samoa Joe would almost be a good way to start rebranding that NXT back to the I guess sort of what they did when they brought Finn Balor back to NXT and put the belt on him for a while to build some new stars. If that's what we want, is to build new stars, Kross is already made. He moves on to Raw. Doug, what do you think?
I have to agree with your brother. Joe takes that strap from Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross graduates to Raw, and we see what happens there. Joe is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I love Joe's work. I love Joe. I'm so happy to see him back in action, and I think he will take this. And, Kross does, like I said, graduate up to the big leagues.
And I like what Poole's saying here with his fantasy booking. If Kross moves on, which I think he should, he's ready for Raw. It's obvious he's ready for Raw. But, down the road, Walter Joe, you talk about a fight that I would want to see. And it is a shame. I mean, Bronson Reed is one of those guys that it's surprising if you want young, big men, why Bronson Reed didn't fit that tick that box for Vince McMahon is anybody's guess, but he should definitely still be there. But I think with this one, you have a hard hitting contest, and I think they try to surprise people. I think they try to surprise people by Big Joe come back and Kross lose. I mean, if Kross loses on Raw to Jeff Hardy in 2 or 3 minutes, you gotta give Joe the victory here, right?
That's what I'm thinking, man. I'm leaning hard into a Joe victory because, that time is tick-tocking for Kross on this. But, Kross goes on to the main roster. An interesting side note, I had some information pop up on some of the dirt sheets this weekend that one of the reasons Bronson Reed was let go when he was being considered to be brought up to Raw was that they decided that he wasn't Raw material or he wasn't main roster material. So then it became so what are we doing with him if he's not eventually going to come on up? Then we should just cut him. And that is incredibly unfortunate because that dude can go, man. That dude can go.
And that is a show we are going to be doing when we return back in the fall next month. Is that we're going to look at what that time, give some time, see where things settle. We're going to look at NXT, what it has been, and what this new direction may be, and who fits in and who doesn't anymore. We're going to take a look at all that because it's a very, very interesting thing. Like you said, if Bronson Reed can't be a guy up here on Raw, why couldn't he be a star in NXT unless they want to go back to NXT is only for bringing
developmental, exclusively developmental
thing, and we'll know as time goes on a whole lot more about what of that story is true and is not true. But with all that is 2 pay-per-views for the price of 1. We did get it in under an hour. Can we do a big finish in under 5 minutes? What do you think?
Big finish in under 5 minutes. All right. What do we have in the big finish? We have a performer of the week, right? Let me go first with performer of the week and say this. I've seen a lot of dirt sheets and a lot of like the YouTube shows talking about the promo between Cena and Reigns, which we referenced earlier. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was a great callback to what was the 2017 back and forth they had, the work shoot. Some of Cena's points about how he's the protected golden child don't necessarily work now because this gimmick is so over with everybody. However, overall, I'm giving my performer of the week to both of them, and I'll throw Heyman in there too because everybody played their roles perfectly, man. Perfectly.
Well, it's funny you went that way, Doug, because my performer of the week is John Cena. And I never would have guessed I would have,
right.
I do think he's underrated when it comes to wrestling, that when he has a match against the right opponent, he can usually deliver. As a character, I've never been into the guy. He was having fun this week. And I'm giving him my performer of the week, not just for that, but just in general, the whole Summer of Cena thing. You have, as you said, he was excellent in Suicide Squad, and it was very critically well received. And then he comes and he has a show-stealing moment where he's literally having so much fun he can barely wipe the smile from his face. That I truly believe when he says that he loves this, it's not just a company man giving the company line. I think that he must love this because I love The Rock. I love it when these guys come back and show that they still want to give something back. John Cena in this Summer of Cena has committed to more than just I'm going to see you at the pay-per-view and I'll be on Smackdown to do the promo with you. He's wrestling house shows. The dude is wrestling house shows in between Suicide Squad and the Fast and Furious and just anything else you want to talk about. There's no doubt that Cena has broken into that next level of where he is a legit movie star now and does not have to do this. But if he is going to do it, you'd think he would do it like The Rock and so many others before done it. You come back, you do the payday shows on Monday or Friday or pay-per-view night, and then you go back to the Hollywood set. And Cena's doing a house show tour to sell tickets as they return back to the road. I just think that, especially considering he doesn't have to do it, that's commendable. And so, way to go, John Cena. I appreciate that.
It's a side note, and I'm going to show Cena some love. But I remember we saw a show years ago back here in Huntington, West Virginia. It was a house show with Cena, and Cena working the crowd, working some of the fans, and we realized that what a solid guy he really is, just with his interactions with the fans. It's like, okay, love or hate the character, whatever. Never been a Superman fan myself, and Cena is, Superman to the WWE, but dude's a solid guy, and he really, really delivered this week for me.
And coming back to do a house show tour. That is just amazing. Amazing. Doug, you want match or botch? You decide.
Let's do match, and let me just shout out, Dynamite Doug is going to go with Rampage and get some Rampage action out there. But if nothing else, for the way Kenny Omega sold that kill switch to end, that hurt me watching that. But I thought that was a great match, great entertaining match. I really loved it. I gotta give some love to Rampage. So,
I could easily go that way too. One of the two of the best matches I saw all week were Kenny Omega matches. I could go Kenny and Christian starting off Rampage. I could go Kenny and Andrade headlining Triple Mania last night. Both fantastic matches. I'm actually going to go completely different to a match that actually took place back in December, but did not air until this week. I don't know that I saw a better match this week, despite how good those two were and how much I love them. But Hiromu Takahashi versus El Desperado in the finals of the Super Juniors 2020 tournament. Hiromu eventually walked away with that win, becoming a 2-time Super Juniors champion. The match like I said, took place in December. However, Roku has a weekly show on the Roku channel. You do not have to have a Roku, folks, just because the Roku channel is a streaming service of live, TV package that, much like if you're familiar with, things like Crackle or, what are some of the others? There's a plethora of live streaming services out there. Roku has their own, and it's free and ad supportive. New Japan has a weekly TV series. If you don't want to take the time, the money to invest in all the stuff you can get through New Japan World and their subscription, you can watch a weekly series on Roku that basically it's 7 or 8 months delayed, but it is week by week, all the big matches from all their big pay-per-views, so you can follow all the storylines and see some of the best wrestling you will ever see for free on American television, for sure. It had everything you wanted and expect from a very important New Japan match, epic length, 30 minutes long, superior athleticism by both guys, back and forth mixed with dramatic storytelling. My favorite part of the match, though, when it came to the dramatic storytelling, is an instance when Hiromu attempts to do the old trick of demasking Desperado. You do this to try to frustrate and the face, or maybe even have him so distraught that you're able to get a quick roll up or something. But it's a very common tactic that backfired because Hiromu, he was able to tear the mask, about 2/3 of the mask of Desperado, and instead of Desperado trying desperately to he instead just stands up and continues to unmask himself and demask, because I'm not going to let that be the reason that you take me down. Which high drama, crowd went nuts, which was excellent storytelling. 20 or so minutes into the contest, but definitely check this out, folks. If you have anything that can stream, you can probably get the Roku channel and watch New Japan's weekly show. With that, we got the botch of the week. Is all that's left, Doug. Mine's pretty short and sweet on this one.
Well, you go ahead and go first, brother, because my wrestling watching has been limited this week, and I really don't think I have a botch. I have nobody to really call out this week.
Well, I'm calling out WWE on this one because unless I completely missed it, and folks, if I did, you can tell me in the comments that I'm wrong, but to my knowledge, WWE did not do a pre-show graphic in memory of beautiful Bobby Eaton that I saw. Eaton, I know he never wrestled in WWE. That doesn't stop them from putting people in their WWE Hall of Fame or, doing these call-outs sometimes before the shows when it's a legend like one half of the Midnight Express. I expect when, Jim Cornette or somebody else involved with that team, passes away, you'd say something because he did work with WWE for a time. Doesn't matter that Eaton didn't. Eaton obviously never worked for places like Impact, and they spent a long segment talking about him.
Or AEW,
which didn't even exist, knew to acknowledge a legend's passing and put up a in memory graphic beforehand. It's a classy thing to do. It's an easy and the least anyone can do for a legend like Bobby Eaton, who passed away. And so botch of the week goes to WWE for not either forgetting or just not taking the time or caring enough to do that. Very much an oversight in my mind.
Well, I'm always on board for giving a botch to WWE, so I will second that because I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah. It's bad form. And with that, man, 2 pay-per-views, more news than we normally have in 3 weeks of shows. And speaking of 3 weeks worth of shows, we're not going to have a good 3 weeks worth of shows. We're taking a little bit of a summer break. Like Doug said, we're going to go rescue him from that tree, find him someplace with Wi-Fi. I'm doing some travels myself. And when we got a holiday, coming up. So enjoy SummerSlam, enjoy TakeOver, and we will return to the air on Sunday night, September 11th, the Sunday after the holiday. So we're off the next couple of weeks. Enjoy the rest of your summer.
Enjoy the rest of your summer. Take care, guys. We love you. Thanks for watching. We'll be back in a few weeks.